Hey guys, looks like we're live. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been about a month since I've been doing these streams, so good to be back. Looks like we have the DM already saying, "Long time no see." Yeah, I know it's been a while. Yeah, I took some time off during the Christmas break and took a couple weeks to get back into the swing of things this year. But that's okay. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. Decided to change things up, and instead of doing 8-bit and ST stuff, I'm now branching out into other platforms. I'm gonna probably stick with Atari stuff for a while, but I'm probably gonna start checking out some other companies. So should be interesting. So today we have Atari 7800. Brandy D, hello. Thank you for joining. By the way, since I am always messing with my audio setup, make sure hopefully I sound okay and everything looks okay and as good as could be expected. So, Jorg Janssen, thank you for joining as well. Um, but yeah, if there's ever any audio issues, which there usually are, definitely let me know in the chat and I can try to fix it. Looking and sounding good. Okay, I like it. All right. Let's see. So a little bit of history here. Let's switch to 7800. Um, so a little bit of history. I owned a 7800 at one point. I believe I only had like one game for it, and it was, as an adult. This was, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. I never really gave the system much thought. I looked at it as just another Atari 8-bit system, and really, it actually had some pretty good games. When I was checking this stuff out, I was kind of like, huh. This is I think if I'd have had this back in the day, I'd have been very happy with it. The issue was that it came out right as the NES came out, and it was just not going to compete with what the NES had. But by itself, it actually had some pretty decent stuff. So let's start off with the pack-in game, which was Pole Position 2. So we have, let's see, you have the test track, we have Fuji, Suzuka. So cool thing is this had multiple buttons on it. Has two buttons on the controller, which made things a lot easier to be able to, on this I can hit up to go to a high gear, but I can also hit the brakes, which, it's one of those things that we've talked about this a lot, in the fact that on the Atari systems, having only one button really makes things hard to deal with. So definitely nice to have a second button. Now, the one problem that they had on this machine, in my opinion, was they had a kind of a funky looking controller. If you see, if you've seen the background, eighth place, it was kind of a funky controller. Now, they did, I think, in other markets, I don't remember where, they did actually come out with a controller that was very similar to the NES controller. And I'm not sure if it was Europe or Japan or where, but yeah, it was a much better controller. It's like, I'm not sure which came first, if it was the NES or the 7800. Yeah, so if they had a better controller, it might have helped. There's also, the games as well. They were still kind of banking on having their arcade conversions. This was obviously an arcade conversion. Pole Position 2 really didn't offer that much more than Pole Position 1, to be honest. So let's see if I can do any better. If they'd have had voice, on this like they had in the arcade, that'd have been nice. But sadly, no voice. You know, the prepare to qualify stuff, which was, as a kid, I remember in the arcade, the fact that it, you know, spoke, kind of like it and Star Wars arcade game had that as well, where it had actually really good, you know, samples of different voices and stuff, which was nice. You know, they didn't put this in the 7800, but oh well. Little things like that really added to it. Where did I qualify this time? Oh, third place. Not bad. Alright, let's see what we do here. Now the cars definitely look different from pole position 1. The cars were very simple, I guess, in the first one, versus this one has a bit more detail to it. But essentially the same game. I mean, yes, I think the courses are different. One of the things that always bugged me in these games, though, is that the racing was not very realistic, in that if you were in first place, you were still passing people for some reason. And it's like, you know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, you're in first place, but where are these people? It's like you're not actually lapping them. So it was more like, I think it was randomly throwing cars at you. Really is the algorithm. Those damn signs every time. I mean, obviously this was way better than the 2600 version of pole position, by far. This is a lot closer to the arcade, which, you know, that was kind of the barometer. What the hell? That was weird. Didn't think I did that, but oh well. You're a touch quiet compared to the game audio. All right, I can turn down the game audio just a little bit. Okay, let's move on to the next game. So I did something a little different with these, and that is I set it up so that, because all the cartridges have art on the ends of the cartridges, so I thought, yeah, it'd be kind of neat to use that instead of what we've been using in the past. So I think it looks pretty good. Definitely let me know what you think. Next up, Centipede, another arcade conversion. So definitely looks much better than the standard 8-bit version of this game. We were actually playing this. My eldest was over last night, and we were playing Centipede on the 800XL. And this looks way better than it did on the 8-bit. And more colors, more just everything. Now, one of the things that is interesting about playing this on the controller is in the arcade, you use has a trackball, and so that means you can spin around and stuff. And when you're playing a game that's meant for a trackball, it can be a little bit daunting when you're playing it with a controller, because it just doesn't have the same responsiveness that the trackball does. So when the developers kind of take that into account and make it so that you can, it works a little bit better with the controller, it's actually, in my opinion, a more fun experience than say the original on the trackball. I know it sounds maybe a little bit blasphemous, but I actually kind of dig when it's like this, with just the controller instead of the trackball. Now, maybe that I'm just not used to using the trackball. I know purists would be like, what you're talking about. But this is actually really good. you know, I could see playing this almost over the arcade games. It's different. It definitely has, you know, more colors. It has just more stuff going on. You know, so yeah, it's kind of interesting when you're looking back, and probably going to be a theme, is that I dismissed the 7800 too early. I remember when it came out, I remember kind of going, oh yeah, it's just 2600 plus kind of thing. And yes, one of the things that was cool about it is the fact that it did have backwards compatibility. So you could play, you know, all of the 2600 games start. Apparently there were some that did not work on the 7800, but the idea is if you bought the 7800 and you had a whole bunch of 2600 cartridges, you could still play them. You know, if you had the other controller I was talking about, that actually might be a better experience. Ouch. Broke there. Alright, let's try again. So we have standard, novice, advanced, expert. Let's try novice, see if it's... Oh, wow. They move a lot. That's cool. I actually really like that. You know, having that ability to turn down the difficulty. You know, if you're just trying to have fun, you don't need to have these crazy fast and stuff. To be honest, you know, I've played the arcade game, I would say a handful of times. And, you know, it's fun, but it's never been my favorite. So this is, you know, being able to turn the difficulty down makes it a little bit tolerable. I mean, this is still an 8-bit machine, but it is different. It is absolutely different than the 8-bit machine. I'm not sure about the capabilities, you know, what hardware this has in it compared to the 8-bit machines. If you know, definitely leave a comment or chat. What the 7800 had that the 8-bit machines did not have. Quite a bit of colors that would be hard to put on the 8-bit. So I've been doing quite a bit of 8-bit programming lately. Oh boy, that's not happening. Ouch. That was not gonna be that was not gonna work out for me. This definitely doesn't feel like just another 8-bit. Quite a few colors going on the screen. So it's kind of interesting looking on online. Something I didn't realize originally was that the character for this game, you know, what you play, is actually unknown. With the idea is you're blasting the Centipede with like a magic wand, which is kind of interesting. I actually have the original art for it. There's a book that came out called Art of Atari, came out a few years ago, and it actually has the original art, which has, yeah, the aforementioned gnome guy with the magic wand. You know, a lot of these games you don't really think about what the story is or what your character is. You just shoot, and you're just, okay, yeah, you're just trying to shoot these things. But a lot of times they will make up some sort of story to go along with it, and most of the time it's lost. It's in the manual, and whoever reads the manual thing. Oh man, that guy was going so slow. How did I let him? Hopefully the audio sounds better. I can turn it up a little bit more. But I turned down the volume of the game so that I'm louder than the game. But if it's still really quiet. We're all almost well, yeah, it's good to be back. I had been wanting to do this for a while, but priorities, stuff was, I had a lot of stuff going on, so it's like, oh, I gotta prepare, gotta do stuff, and finally got things going. Sorry, it took me a while. It's been about a month now, I guess, since I last streamed. Haven't played this in ages, but I still remember the extra life audio. Yeah, it's always nice to hear that. So in Novice, I did much better. Go figure. Let's move on. Okay, Joust, another arcade conversion. Actually, most of these are arcade conversions. There's a couple that are not, but almost all these. Now, granted, there were some in here that were not conversions, but for the most part today, I just wanted to pick some of the main ones so we can kind of compare and contrast. So this is kind of, the graphics on this are, it's kind of interesting. I'm not, I wouldn't mind do a side-by-side comparison between this and the 8-bit version. I don't think this is as good as the 8-bit version. I love how that is in every incarnation of Joust. With the exception of probably the 2600 version. I don't think that has that little blip. This is way better than the 2600 version. That is for sure. But I don't think it has the same graphics as the 8-bit. I mean, definitely not the same. Be interesting to see, to compare, to see which is quote-unquote better. It could be a good video, I guess, to kind of compare 7800 with the arcade, or 7800 with the 8-bit machines. But this is definitely playable. It's definitely got the right speed and feeling to it. I definitely like it better than the 2600 version, that's for sure. Boom. No survival points awarded. Yeah, this was definitely one of my go-tos in the arcade. I'm not great at it, but I do enjoy it. It's one of those I've always gravitated towards. So it's kind of cool when Ready Player One kind of featured it, at least in the book, not in the movie. But I need that egg. Now it looks like on this one they didn't do the rider coming up and getting the egg. I'm gonna let that one hatch. Oh, maybe not. It's going into the lava. Oh, pterodactyl. Now it does have the hand. That's cool. I always love that hand coming out of the lava. It's like, what is that hand? Just some major lava creature, apparently. So let's see what happens when one of these hatches. Now, I should bring in one of the blue guys. No, gray. First red, then gray, then blue. Okay, so the dude does come out. Okay, so they did do the whole... Oops. They did do the whole, it hatches the guy, and then for some reason, the egg hatches a guy, not the buzzard, which is odd. Egg wave. Always cracks me up on the 2600 version, how there would be the eggs just flying around in air. Ah. A lot of buzzards going on here. Boom. I don't think it did that on 8-bit version. I think the way the things would go away, but I don't think it did as much animation with that. The eggs seem to fall slower. The gravity on them is a little wonky, it looks like. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been able to catch them like that. They just kind of fly up. Ooh, 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 ooh. There we go. 3,000 survival points awarded. Terry wave. That's interesting. I don't remember it calling Terry. But Terry. Oh. I think I've killed the pterodactyl like once or twice in my life. Oh boy, thy game is over. Let's see. You are loud enough when not playing, but when the game sound is happening, it overpowers your voice. This game, your voice is loud enough. Okay. Good evening. Great to see you back on your Atari. Thanks, Thomas. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, hopefully I can't crank up my voice anymore, but I can crank up everything and lower the game volume if needed, so I can definitely compensate for it. Let's see. Looking at check. Well, we have that volume, which actually looks pretty good. I can increase it though. Let's see if this is any better. Let's try going to here. Hopefully, I don't want to clip. I don't want to go too loud, but check. How about that? That might be a little louder. Hopefully it's not too loud, as I said. Let me know. Chid255, thanks for joining. Appreciate you being here. I don't know. Are you still streaming these days? I know you were doing 2600 games for a while, which actually is one of those things I completely ignored. I figured lots of people are doing 2600 stuff, so hopefully you're back at it as well. Okay, let's get on to the next one. Ms.Pac-Man, not Mrs. Pac-Man. A lot of people, it's funny when you see it written, it's always Mrs. Not always, but a lot of people will call it Mrs. Pac-Man, and it's like, well, actually, I think she's single. Yeah, so she meets up with Pac-Man during Ms. Pac-Man, but yeah. So the colors are a little wonky on this. While the graphics look good, they're very pastel-y, which, I mean, yes, the original they were kind of pastel-y, but this is like blinding. Now, as far as conversions go, it's actually really good. It's obviously the colors are a little bit odd, but for the most part, I mean, this is actually a really good conversion. I think the one thing that I miss is I got spoiled at one point when playing this in the arcade. This is, by the way, another one of my arcade go-tos. I got spoiled by the speed chip. It was like at one point somebody put in a speed chip on one of the machines, and it was very, very, very popular. And I to this day, it's like if it has a speed chip, I'll play it. Otherwise, usually I just I'm not interested. I don't know why, but I really like playing with the faster mode. And it's one of those things, if you're playing on MAME and stuff, you can actually turn it on like via a hack or something to have that on there. Because that's kind of unfortunately, that's kind of been my definitive, way to play. So this is like, oh man, this is so slow. but it looks good. It's very, true to the originals as far as the gameplay goes. The colors, as I said, are wonky, but otherwise, this is wildly better than the 2600. Now, that's one thing to consider is how it compares to the 2600 version of, well, anything. Granted, the 2600 version of Ms.Pac-Man was way better than Pac-Man, of course. Gotta love the fact that they've got the music there. They did everything right. The one, colors would be interesting to compare. Everything looks like just a shade of pink, except for Clyde, who's orange. Oh, that was bad. Okay, let's do this. I remember when I was playing the arcade one time, I was playing and these guys were watching me play, and I was ignoring the points on the ghosts, and because I was just using the power pellet just to get through the level. And I remember they were watching me like, oh yeah, this guy's pretty good, and then I was just ignoring the points, and they were scoffing at me, and they're like, and they walked away. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll go for the points. I know, especially at the beginning, getting that first life, which I think is in this game, which is weird. I think you can only get one, well, at least at 10,000, you get an arcade, you get an extra life. But I think, I don't remember if it's one of those things that you have to get up to 100,000 or what the next life is. I just remember it wasn't every 10,000, which was kind of a bummer. So getting that first extra life, possibly only, was kind of a big deal. These guys are elusive there. Go. All right. Oh, missed it. No. Ouch. No. Now, the interesting thing about Ms. Pac-Man versus the original Pac-Man is that, as far as I know, there's they definitely changed it up so that you can't just use patterns to beat it. It is one of those things that it is a lot more random. So while there are some things you can do, I believe it's just get good. It's not a matter of patterns. Interestingly enough, this was the original, if you look up the history on Ms. Pac-Man, there we go, cool. Yeah, this looks very much like the arcade. Nice. Music, everything's cool. Anyway, so this was actually, Ms. Pac-Man was a hack of the original Pac-Man, and it was done by a third party. And basically, they liked it, and they ended up licensing it as an actual game. And yeah, it's one of those things I read about it. I don't remember all the details. I just remember that it was, not originally made by Namco. No. Or Bally Midway? Namco. I'm trying to think of who owns it now. Or who owned it back then. It was Bally. Not Atari. A lot of people think that, they owned it, but they just licensed it. But I mean, it makes sense since everybody knows Pac-Man and associates it with the original Pac-Man on the 2600, which was the horrible version. Alright, let's go with Ms. Pac-Man here. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. Alright. I didn't actually stream much 2600 stuff. I did make a system about the system last month. Cool. So I don't know if you're covering the new Intellivision Amico stuff, which I've been following somewhat. I thought you had done some 2600 stuff, but could be wrong. Let's see. Expect to have some new stuff for your stream soon. I see what you did there, Thomas. Thank you. Yeah, I see what you've been doing with the whole random miner stuff, and it's looking very cool. I know there was another homebrew game that came out recently that I got to definitely check out. Actually, more interested in the 7800. There's a lot of cool stuff for that system. Yeah, and that's something I'm finding. Originally I had pretty much dismissed the system, and I was like, whatever. And then kind of going back, I was like, there's actually some good stuff. Unfortunately, I think it was just, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff released for it. I think I have 60 games set up, which was like the main complement of all the games, which is really not much, definitely compared to all the other systems. But the stuff that was on there, most of the stuff's pretty high quality. Let's see. When you said spoiled, at first I was thinking you mean a plot spoiler. No, spoiled by having certain hardware in the machine. Let's see. This is actually a really good port of the game. Yep, it is. I'm going for the points. I think it makes the game more satisfying. Yeah, it's one of those things. That's what you're supposed to do. And I was mostly just trying to clear screens. The Amico doesn't interest me that much. I do hope it turns out well, though. Yeah, the controller is funky. I've been following Tommy Tallarico for a really long time, especially since he's my I guess Idol's cousin, since I'm a huge Aerosmith fan, and Tommy Tallarico, the guy that bought Intellivision and has been working on it, is Steven Tyler's cousin, if you didn't know. So I've been kind of following it. I watched a couple videos with him, and it looks promising. I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm the new systems like the new VCS, I'm still holding out. Eventually I probably should buy one, but I kind of don't really see the point at the moment. Kind of the same way with the Amico. I was not a huge Intellivision fan as a kid. I remember I had the 2600, and I had a friend that had an Intellivision. And while there was some cool stuff on the system, there was also it was different. It definitely had some more capabilities than the 2600. Whether they were realized or not, it's a different thing. With the voice module and all that stuff. So it was interesting. I actually did get one as an adult, and then I actually, as a, I picked up an Intellivision and plus a bunch of games at like a estate sale. And so I picked it up on, like, it was on Craigslist or something, and it was kind of cool because there was a game in there. It was I can't remember the name of it, but it was something volleyball, and it was like the last game made. And it was boxed. It had a stain on the cover, but it was I can't remember the name of it. Chid, you probably do know what I'm talking about. It was a volleyball game that went for a lot of money. I didn't know how much. I haven't looked at the prices of it these days, but yeah, it was a really hot item that I just happened to pick up, and it was awesome. I sold it and made quite a bit of money off of it. Okay, let's move on. Asteroids. Now, Asteroid. Oops, what am I doing? Why did it do that? Oh, I did. Favorites. Oh, I hit a button. Everything got messed up here. Okay, let's see what we got going on. Platform 7800. My looks like my my front end lost its brain there for a second. All right, let's go to Asteroids. So this, I playing this, I'm like, this is what all versions of Asteroids should have been. I mean, this was very much like Asteroids Deluxe in the arcade, or Blasteroids, or basically way better than the original Asteroids. It's very rare for a conversion or a port to be better than the original. And I would say that this is better than the original in just about every way. The only problem with it is the fact that, well, problem is not the right word. The only thing I would say is that you don't have is the vector graphics, which is definitely is a cool novelty, but not required. But I mean, if you look at the asteroids in this, it's awesome as far as like they're 3D and they actually rotate. I mean that's huge, especially for this time. You know, the shading on them. I was playing this and I was just blown away. You know, Asteroids was one that I didn't play much in the arcades, but I definitely played it on the home systems and especially on the Atari 8-bit. So this is like, it blows away the 8-bit version of this game. And this is, you know, while it's an arcade game, arcade conversion, this still has been one of my favorites of playing on the 7800, to be honest. You know, I mean, obviously the asteroids, I don't know if they'd be all those different colors, but whatever. It looks cool. I mean, it's just so much cooler than a lot of the other versions. And so I feel like they really knocked themselves out when they made this conversion. Lots of sound effects that I'm not exactly sure what they mean, since it's not always, it's not a free live. Oop, didn't quite hit it. So having a secondary button means that you can do your the hyperspace, which is on the secondary button, which is nice. That's kind of cool. Instead of some of the other versions where you would just pop in randomly when it would try to figure out a place to put you and hopefully not get destroyed, it didn't work in, you know, on the higher end, you know, on the higher levels, because you would just die. On this, it looks like it gives you some like that right there. It gives you a little bit of a warning. It's like, all right, you're gonna spawn right here. Now what's interesting is I think you can maybe move when you're in that mode. I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to try it next time I pop in, see if I can move out of the way if there's just a bunch of asteroids around me. But this is my favorite probably version of Asteroids, to be honest, after playing this for a while. I mean, it definitely is much cooler looking. Yeah, I'm not sure what all the sound effects are for, because I'm not getting new lives or anything. It's just, I don't know if it's just ambient sound effects or what. Just, you know, just to make it kind of sound cool. I don't know. But, yeah, it's neat. Whatever. Whoa. I usually don't use the thrusters much, just because it gets you into trouble. You end up flying all over the screen. I usually try to stay in the center just so I can have the most you know, time to destroy stuff. It's kind of weird. The asteroid was like going really slow. It was rotating, but it wasn't moving hardly. Yeah, I don't know. This game right here could have been, I have no idea what the sales were, but I think this could have been a killer app on the system. Granted, I think a lot of people were, at this point, I think they were tired of arcade games, and that was why, you know, the NES, when it came out, since it did not have all the arcade games, I mean, it had some, but for the most part, it was all original games. It was just, I think people were ready for something new. And Atari was really big on resting on their laurels with the IP that they had. You know, everything is like, oh, everybody wants to play arcade games. And, you know, I think that when the NES came out, and because it came out at the same time as this, I think people were jaded. They wanted something different, and yeah, Atari had been around forever, so with the NES having, you know, Super Mario Brothers, which was revolutionary compared to all the arcade games that were before this. Before it, I should say. And so it was really hard for Atari to compete with that. I mean, I think that it just was like, oh my god, this is a totally different game. If they had tried to come up with some sort of platformy type game, you know, they might have been able to compete, but it's difficult when there was a major paradigm shift. Oh yeah, that was a new life. Heard that little thing. Ouch. Game over. Okay. Let's move on. All right. Spiker Super Pro Volleyball. That game worth over $1,000. Oh, don't tell me that. $1,000 now. I think I sold it for, I want to say $300 or $400 then. So yeah, it was complete in box. Yeah, Spiker Super Pro Volleyball. Yeah, I had a feeling you would know what it was. So for whatever reason, I have come in contact with rare games, mostly because I've been, you know, buying and selling games for a long time. But I had that, and I also had Air Raid on the 2600. So that was I have a whole video about that actually on my channel if you're interested. Let's see. The cool thing about the 7800 is that it's capable of displaying many more sprites than the competition. This could not run without Sprite Flicker on the NES. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm blown away with it. I think that, yeah, the hardware probably is better, but, you know, really what it comes down to is the software. If they didn't, you know, they didn't put Atari at the time was in a kind of a not a great situation. You know, they were trying to figure out what they were going to be, if they were going to be a computer company or a game company. And, you know, Jack Trammell came in, you know, and was going to change things up. And so the 7800 didn't really get a good run. I think it's just ambience. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that it's just kind of cool. You know, it's like you think about it, it's like, what is that for? And it's like, yeah, just ambient noise. Okay, Kung Fu Master, which has the incorrect cover here, but whatever, it's fine. So Kung Fu Master it was an arcade game, but the cool thing was it wasn't the traditional arcade games. This was one that also came out on the NES, yeah. So this is actually also a really good conversion. So I trying to remember. It's like you can punch. Now you can kick. I think there's also, I think you just press down and punch. You know, it's funny. It's like I never really played this game much. And I remember that the guys will come back behind you and stuff, and they're trying to grab you and all that, and you have to shake them off. Ouch! You stabbed me. And I definitely know this was one that a lot of people played on the NES, but be interesting to compare between this and the NES version, at least. Now, I am working on a 8-bit game series on programming. Be interesting to see how it would differ on the 7800. Yeah, I have done a little bit of 2600 stuff, and I'm guessing that it was, you know, because it was because it was backward compatible. My guess is that it was probably closer to the 2600 development than the 8-bit development, but I have not looked at it at all. I know I just saw a video or a post by Peter Mayer, I think, who just did a conversion of Tempest for, I think it was on, was it the 8-bit? I think it was the 8-bit, not 7800, but I know he was working on 7800 code as well. Be interesting to see how it was different. I mean, the amount of colors that are on here is crazy. I mean, this is I don't know if you could, I don't think you can do this many colors on the 8-bit without like lots of trickery. Just looking at the background versus the foreground. I mean, there's just in the roof itself, there's a bunch of colors. Well, that one could be done. There is a lot of stuff with the using the vertical stuff, being like, okay, at this level you can use these colors, at these level you can use these colors, and you could probably get by with a little bit of it. But yeah, this is actually looks really good. Duck might help so you don't get hit by the knife. He throws it and runs away. These guys remind me of zombies or something, the way they're coming at me with I kicked him. They're coming right for my throat or whatever. Get off me. I do remember there is like an ending, I believe, to this game where you're trying to go find your girlfriend or something. It's kind of funny looking at his feet. I don't know if it's supposed to be shadows or what, but his feet look like they're really long. It's funny. Wow, that guy took a lot of hits. I remember on the NES and probably the arcade, they grab you and then they knock you off the deck. On this, it just makes it disappear. So they didn't do that animation, apparently. Ouch! Ow. Be nice if I got to the next floor. Ouch. Ouch. Ow. Gotta run up and hit him and... Ouch. Man, that guy's kicking my butt. Alright. What do we got on time? About halfway, so maybe I'll do another one here. See, is there any options here so we can change? There's time. We can go player 1, 2. So it's just a number of players. Nothing crazy. Okay. Ouch. What's interesting is they used the same button does the same thing, which is kind of annoying. It's like they should have done, one button for punch, one button for kick. Imagine in the arcade they had 2 buttons, but it's just a lazy port, I guess. I don't think this was ever ported to the Atari 8-bit. It'd be interesting to try. Did I get to the end? Finally! Yay! I mean, looking at how it's done, it is a, horizontal scroll, which is a lot easier to do on the 8-bit. A lot harder to do vertical stuff. Because you could do, you can use like display list interrupt stuff, which allows you to change things at the horizontal line, so each line can be a different color or whatever you want to do. But if you're trying to do stuff mid-screen, that's a lot harder. Another problem is the sprites. As you were talking about, Tid was talking about the Sprite Flicker, which you can do, but it's not ideal. You can get away with it a little bit, but if you have too many things going on, like Pac-Man did in the original 2600, you can only do so much. All right, let's move on. Chid says, let's see, I think the downfall came from Atari just porting pre-crash arcade games. When Nintendo was moving forward later, there was some cool original stuff, but it was too late by then. Yeah, I agree. Again, they're resting on their laurels. They're like, hey, everybody wants to play arcade games. Yeah, not really. I think they were done, especially since it came out on every system. And it was just like, yeah, we've played this before, over and over and over again on all the different systems. And, and just, I think people were just tired of it. So it was a breath of fresh air, when Nintendo came out with their stuff. Okay, so I've not played this version before. I've only played the 8-bit version. Now this is way, way, way better as far as colors go. So let's see if it works the same way. Oh, interesting. So they did use a secondary button. That's nice. It's a funky looking tank. Okay. Hop in, dudes. So it was really hard to change direction on the 8-bit version. On this, they have it so that you can just hit the button and it'll rotate you, which is very, very nice. Where's my landing pad? Right here. I don't know if I got all the guys, but I got a lot. Cool. Alright, so I can't go left. So that's kind of nice to be able to switch directions. Because that was something I had a hard time with a lot. Being able to bomb the guys was relatively hard because you had to be in this position to do it. Oh, jet. Boom. Alright, let's try this again. There's going to be a jet out here. Where are you, buddy? There he is. Alright, let's change direction, and I think I like this version better than the 8-bit version, that's for sure. I can just don't hit my guys, dang it! Quit hitting my guys. Maybe I'll try to bomb you. Get in there. Come on, get in. Come on. Oh wait, whoa, bunch of guys. Alright. Oh, man! I knew that was going to happen. All those guys are gone. That sucks. Okay, we're going to have a jet coming in, probably behind me. Ouch. Game over. It didn't have music for the game either. That sucks that they didn't credit the original developer. I know it did it on the box, but yeah, it was made by a guy by the name of Dan Gorlin, and he made another game that I had covered on my ST stream called Typhoon Thompson, and which is interesting because he actually also made another game on the on the Apple called Airheart. And it was interesting because I remember when I covered it that I had played it before. It was like, what the? This game seems very, very familiar. And that was because they had made the game Airheart on the Apple II, and I was asking my buddy about it, and because we had checked out the Airheart before, and I was like, this seems very familiar. And yeah, looking it up, made by the same guy, and I believe the Airheart was sort of the precursor to Typhoon Thompson. And it's kind of interesting looking at some of the stuff that's in this game versus some of the other games. You can see that there's definitely some, I wouldn't go so far as to say reuse of code, but the way some of the stuff was looked, the animation, the graphics, stuff like that. It was definitely, ooh, got him, nice. Definitely some reminiscing going on. Oh, let's see. Land. But yeah, it's originally made by Dan Gorlin. I believe the original was on, Choplifter was on the Apple II and then was ported to the other platforms, but I could be wrong there. Oh, bunch of dudes. Alright, I will take you guys back. Yeah, I used to play this a lot, but I gotta say I like this version better. Alright. I'm not sure if it's that 2 is like second. Whoa, what the heck is that? I don't remember ever seeing that. That was weird. Come on, guys. Get in. Whoa! That was close. I lifted off just in time. That was crazy close. Oop, too far. There we go. That looked like a alien ship or something. Now we got these jets to deal with here. There's some guys. Whoa. I hope I didn't just shoot my guy. I might have. Sorry, buddy, if I did. Let's take you guys home. Oh, was there another one? Oh, there's some more. Okay, no whammies. Okay, let's do it. Let's go. Oh, man! Damn it. All those guys are gone now. Didn't quite get off the ground fast enough. Alright. More guys. Let's just take these guys home. Yeah, the original one was pretty much black and white. I mean, yes, it did have colors. It did use a lot of the Broderbund titles on the 8-bit used, I don't know why most of them did this, but they used the NTSC artifacting so that it would... oh, I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. And so to try to eke out more colors. So this was definitely one that did. So a lot of times if you see a picture of it... Oh, it's not obvious that thing was in the sky. A lot of times you see screenshots of the Choplifter on the 8-bit, it'll show it in black and white, because a lot of times when emulators, two things. One, if you're using an emulator, you have to turn on the NTSC artifacting, and two, if you're playing it on a PAL system, you don't get it at all. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know who I wasn't able to see it. Oh well, let's move on. Okay. Yeah, Choplifter is an Apple II game, by Dan Gorlin. Yeah, and Sega released a coin-op remake. And this one is, I think, ported from the arcade, just with more colors and all that. So yeah, Choplifter is one of the few games, Load Runner is another, to take the reverse route, first appearing on a home system and being ported to the arcade. Yep, it happened occasionally. It was a good game though. Okay, next up we have Dark Chambers. So this one is, I would consider, probably one of the killer apps on the 7800. So this was based off of an original game on the 8-bit called Dandy, which was actually part of the Atari Program Exchange, which was a thing where people could submit code that they wrote and Atari would publish it for them. Now, the interesting thing about it is, I think that the guy that wrote this, I can't remember his name offhand, originally wrote Dandy. I think Atari said, yeah, that looks great. And then they decided to just take it for their own and remake it into... now, I'm not sure which one came first. Definitely let me know if you know. But for arcade fans, they should know that the way this looks is very reminiscent of another game called Gauntlet. And I don't know which came first, if it was Gauntlet or Dark Chambers. There's definitely stuff in this game that Gauntlet, yeah, it's obviously the same thing. It is different, but it definitely has some of the same elements in it. The fact that you could have, the monsters, have generators, you can find keys and potions and all that stuff. So very D&D light, but action games. So we can go in here and we can get treasure, and we can go down if we want. Now, what's interesting about this is I had played this before, and it looks like there might be some random elements too, because I had played this before and there was different stuff in that room. So that's actually kind of interesting. So some of these monsters, you have to hit them several times in order for you to kill them, which is kind of interesting. And this is on standard mode, so this is not easy. I'm going to go down here. I don't think there was a way to choose like what kind of character you wanted to play, if it was a warrior or elf or whatever. But this definitely is very similar to Gauntlet. And I had actually covered Dandy as part of my Atari 8-bit streams. And it's one of those things I could definitely see why they really liked it, because it's very cool concept. And Gauntlet, they made that made Atari a lot of money. I don't know if it was the first one, but I do know it was one of the first games to allow you to pay money, as in, I guess I can shoot that. Allow you to keep pumping in quarters. Now, that was a thing that most of the games at the time, when you died, and there was no continuing or anything like that. And while that was great at the time, it wasn't so great from the player standpoint, because they want to keep going, right? Or from the operator standpoint, the guys that owned the game and ran the games, if you put in a continue and you had the ability to keep pumping in quarters, that was a whole other ball game. This machine, it'd be interesting to see how much money this machine made when it was on premises, or on location. That's alcohol. I don't think I want that, but whatever. This game made a lot of money, because especially since you could play 4 players at once, and each one of you had to keep pumping in quarters to keep yourself alive. And That was huge. And you know, the cool thing is that the way they did it, it was a little different than other games as far as continues go. You didn't just go to the end, like when you lose your lives and stuff like that. They didn't really have lives on you know, on Gauntlet. What it was is just your health, and your health would go down, and you could put in more quarters, and then your health would go back up, and you can just keep pumping in quarters and keep pumping in quarters. So if you didn't want it to bug you for a while, like you wanted to make sure you had like infinite health or whatever, you just pump in $20 worth of quarters and you're good to go for quite a while. So I imagine a lot of people when playing Gauntlet, I wonder if I have to shoot this thing. Oh, well, I hit. Let's see. That's interesting. So normally you get to pick those up in like Gauntlet, but whatever. And so I mean, I know I'd spend a lot of money on the arcade game just because you just like want to keep going, and you know, pay no mind. You know, if you're going to play this game, you have to, you know, get a roll of quarters because you're going to be, if you're going to want to play for a while, you're going to need it, especially if you have multiple people. Obviously, this doesn't have the voice. You know, being a gun. Now that's different. I don't remember a gun. Let's see. Can I? Oh, weird. What is that? That should be an exit, but it doesn't look like an exit. That's odd. Huh. Oh well. Let's keep going. But yeah, this is especially for the time. I mean, this would have been a huge thing to have. You know, again, I had never really played it before seeing it on you know, after starting with the 7800 for this time. I knew it was a thing. I knew it was a you know, kind of a killer app for it. There we go. But I'd never really played it, so it's very cool. Definitely has nice smooth graphics, and I like your little feather or whatever that is. And of course, every level, you know, the background is different, or the background and the walls and everything. All right, so now it's getting dark. Another one that was big is the generators. You know, having the ability to create more monsters with the generators. That's a huge thing. I'm not sure about shooting those potions. Also, why do I have a gun? I guess maybe it's rapid fire. It does seem rapid. Very fast shooting. I don't have a key, so I can't go that way. Maybe another idea for a video would be comparing Gauntlet with Dandy with Dark Chambers, just to kind of see the evolution, the story of it. Oh, I already have that gun, so just to kind of show like where it came from and how it evolved. Okay, so I still need a key. Let's try down here. Yeah, at some point I have it on my bucket list to actually play through the entire Gauntlet. Just I don't know what happens if I don't know if there's an ending or not in the original. I do know that there's a ton of levels. Oh, I shot the food. I do have a key now, which is cool. The walls are a little funky because it's I think one of the things that's interesting is the perspective is a little funky because of the character versus the walls. It's kind of got that kind of isometric kind of look. It's like 3/4, but it's also at an angle, which is a little odd. And so walking through the areas, you have to kind of position yourself just right. But yeah, there's tons of sprites on the screen. And yeah, there's no flicker. Be interesting to see. And, you know, if you guys are interested of, you know, seeing development on the 7800, I would love to do a series on it. I'm doing a series on the Atari 8-bit and doing a roguelike in assembly. Oops, and after that, I'm probably going to be doing, you know, some other platform for that, because I think truly I'm having a lot of fun with doing the development. Yes, there's a lot of restrictions, which makes things a little bit more interesting. But you know, to be honest, if I just by looking at what you could do on the 7800, I could do a lot more. Because I'm pretty limited on what I can do on the 8-bit for doing a rogue game. So it looks like a fake shield. Nice. Yeah, there's only so much I can do. Wow. Be interesting to try to make 7800 homebrew games that are decent. Probably could. It's weird that the potions look like our generators. Odd. Did I use a key? I don't know. I can't tell. But yeah, definitely. Those look like bombs. Would be interesting to try to make some games on the 7800 as well. I have tried doing some 2600 development stuff, and it's pretty hard. I mean, you can do stuff, but I think the biggest problem is you have to really limit what you can do. And while limitations are good, it's frustrating when you're trying to make something actually good and actually something looks fun. And, you know, the cat's out of the bag. You know, we've had, you know, lots of colors and lots of stuff. And I died. Game over. So we can go to advanced, standard, beginner. We can go 2-player. We do, let's see what happens if you do 2-player. What your other character looks like. Okay, so it's just an elf, but it's a brown elf instead of a green one. So that's interesting. So it does the same thing that Gauntlet does, in that you're limited by the screen. You have to keep moving, and that's frustrating. All right, let's move on. I don't know. I love those kind of games. Hi, Dark Chambers is an arcade action game similar to Gauntlet. That's interesting. So they actually did come out with it on the 2600. This what this picture on the background is, and it's like, oof. Yeah, it doesn't look nearly as good on the 2600. It'd be really hard to make a game like that on 2600. Yeah, it looks like they do screens instead of being able to scroll. Okay, yeah, guns increase your firing rate. Potions to restore health. Traps, shields, and bombs. Yeah. Very cool game. That was, I think, later in the production cycle. 89. So, yeah. All right. What's up next? We got Food Fight. Okay, so I had talked to, Into the Vertical Blank, Jeff Fulton, about this game. And so, the fact that, I had shown an ST version of the game. And he was not happy with the ST version. I think because this on the 7800 version was way better than the ST version, which that's pretty sad. If you know a 16-bit version, sorry, is less good than the 8-bit version, and that is pretty sad. This is very much like the arcade. I would say that it's a little slower moving, so if I remember right. But you're just trying to get over, get the ice cream. That's all you're trying to do. And you're trying to throw food at the chefs that are trying to stop your progress. And it has lots of different food that you can throw. So interesting, they were actually on their podcast, on the Into the Vertical Blank podcast, they were talking about a new version of this that's coming out on, it might be out already, on the VCS, the new Atari VCS. So that looks promising. To be honest, it's one of those games that I didn't really play much. I don't know if I ever played it in the actual arcade. I played it on like MAME and stuff, but not on the arcade. And but I do know that the cabinet is absolutely beautiful. It I did not want to do that. The cabinet is, at one point I was working on doing 3D modeling of arcade cabinets for a project called 3D Arcade. And this was the cabinet for Food Fight. If you ever get a chance to see it, it looks cool because it's very roundy as opposed to being very square like all the other arcade games. And let's see that again. Instant replay. Nice. Has music going the whole time. Wasn't that great? Whatever. I don't know what makes it decide to do an instant replay, but that's kind of a neat little feature. Ouch. He gets splattered with all the food. The cabinet for this is one that I think I would own just because of the work of art that it is. It's one of those things that it looks really cool. And it was fun to model too because there's tons of roundy bits on it, and it was neat to try to kind of make that into a 3D model. And it's one of those things I should maybe post a link to it or picture of it. 3D Arcade was it's not really in development myself. I'm gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. No. But it was cool that you could walk around in a 3D arcade and go to different cabinets and play them and see the videos of the game being played and all that. This is another thing that's interesting. In the arcade, you can even do this where you could choose the level that you wanted to start on, which is, I don't think I've ever seen that in a game before, in an arcade game, of saying, I want to be on this level. And it's like, usually you have to choose to be on that level. Or rather, you have to not choose, but you have to work your way up to that level. Whereas on this, you get to choose it, which is interesting. I love how big his mouth gets when he goes to eat the ice cream. Let's see that again. Instant replay. Uh-oh. That's no good. I had a feeling that was going to be a problem. Something else that's kind of interesting is the shading that they use on the got peas thrown at me on the scores, which is kind of interesting as opposed to using no shading and stuff. Definitely makes it look a little bit more cartoony, I guess, because it's roundy. Did not do as well like it. Alright, let's move on. Alright. Let's move on to Akari Warriors. So this one, I believe was an arcade game first, and it was ported. Now this one was definitely ported to the NES. Most people would know of this game from the NES. To be honest, looking at this, it doesn't look nearly as good as the NES version. But, 2 players intermediate. I didn't mean to do that, but oh well. Again, it'd be cool to see side by side. I'm going to leave that guy behind, I think. Do that, or I'm not going to be able to move forward. Can I shoot him? Nope. This is going to be problematic. What about bomb? Can I bomb him? Yeah, I can bomb him. Can I move forward? No. Let's just bomb him. Get him off of here. Just got a bomb my friend here. You dead yet? Okay, now I can move forward. I should have just not done the 2-player, but whatever. It was weird the way that you had to choose it. Whoa, Jesus. Bombing much? Little grenade happy? Pow. Like pow. Oh, I didn't get it. Pow is a good thing. I love how he looks like supposed to be like Rambo or something with the headbands and stuff. Or the headband. Ouch. Game over. Alright. Okay, let's see if I can... Intermediate? No. 1 player, 2 player. Okay. Intermediate, no. 1 player. Advanced, expert, novice. Alright, we'll try 1 player, novice instead. I really like the animation there, that's really good. Jeez, you guys are crazy. Not sure what that gave me, but it gave me a thing. Be nice to have like a machine gun or something. Guess I can't destroy that rocket. Jeez, why are you guys throwing so many? Oh, that was a vehicle, I think, wasn't it? Ah! Guys in red, that guy must be gas? Probably gas for the vehicle. That got destroyed. Ouch. Ow. I am not doing so well at this game. I don't know if I actually ever played the other one, like the NES version or the arcade version much. Gas. L? What about L? Doesn't matter, I die. Game over. Okay, one more. Oh, I do have bullets. That's interesting. On not unlimited. Did I hit any of those guys? I don't think so. Oh, that was nice. I blew up the whole thing. Now, why is it that I have so many grenades? That seems odd. I have 92 grenades. Can I get in that? No. Not if it gets exploded. It's like, why even bother shooting? Just use grenades the whole time. Sounds great. When they give you like 90 some odd grenades. Of course, lobbing and shooting is, shooting and lobbing is annoying. Get him. Get to the L again. F. Oh, fire? Maybe? Don't know what these letters are. But... spell something, or is it just different type of shooting? Whatever. More gas? I guess not before the ooh, that's dangerous. Let's do a thing. Can I get in that? Can I get in it? Come on, come on, come on. Let me get in it. Already in it. Nice. It blew up. That was pretty. That was too easy to blow up that tank. It was kind of cool. I was able to get into it for a minute. Ouch. Man, the amount of grenades that get thrown is kind of insane. I think that's game over. Yep. Alrighty. Well, that was Akari Warriors, and that was my first foray into Atari 7800 stuff. Definitely a lot of fun. At the time, I actually never had an NES system back then. And so, I was an Atari guy, so NES was like not really the enemy, but it was not something I was really interested in getting. Friend of mine, friends had him, of course, but I never did. I had the computer. I was already moved on to the computer at that point. At that point, it was, Atari 8-bit and then eventually the ST. So the Atari 7800 kind of just was passed by the wayside. But there's quite a bit of good stuff, as we've seen. I don't know how many videos I'm going to do of this. There's only so many games I can show. But I would like to show some homebrew games. If you have any ideas of, your games that you'd like to see that me cover on the 7800, definitely leave me a comment. I'd appreciate it. And we can see what we can do about getting that in the next one. I do plan on doing some 2600 stuff and maybe a 5200, stream. And I did fire up over the break. I did fire up my Atari Jaguar. I would like to see if emulation for the Jag is anywhere near playable at this point. It'd be cool to be able to show that with emulation versus the physical hardware. Could do either, both, whatever. In any case, I appreciate you guys being with me today. I think I'm out for the day. So, in any case, until next time, see you in the next adventure. Take care.